さて、どうしたものかな?
So the pending updates from Tokon Twitter regarding its roster size are gradually disappointing for me because I'm not certain a lot of that is real or not before the E3 state of play that's happening more or less roughly tomorrow. I got something up here now that I'm taking a look at from my response to the person, and then I'm taking a look through the Vine. I see too many people that I know that are wanting to really agree with the vision given for the sake of the product instead of just like fighting for more to come out of the product if you're paying for more than you should to get it anyways. But their stand in trying to cope is blindsiding them to be pushing the narrative of a better impression. Blah. To be like pushing a better impression to house from the initial lasting impression that Tokon gave us already coming into the market. First impression defines the product, and then to a degree, the community it's also either introducing or representing. Like for a new fighting game, especially one tied to like a major IP like Marvel, launch is the most important perception moment. Each newer update they decide to do, unless the company wants you in the dark more for the suspense than the assurance. Then the takeoff of the developments around the mechanics or tweaks here or there in order to clean up the online stability and execution, or even the inputs. It's not always graphical presentation. It's also not always the mechanical presentation, even though the mechanical presentation sometimes or most times is the more sought explanation or exploration with players. It's generally, in my opinion, it's the self expression. Players are going to choose characters based on like play style, whether or not they're going to be a rushdown or a zoner, grappler, a stance character, puppet character, whatever the hell, or some type of personality fantasy where they can connect or relate with the character, a visual identity with the character, something about them that's alluring, or like a main aspect about the character. Marvel and DC have tons of characters like that shit, or they have competitive viability. A larger, well designed roster at launch enables, for one, more playstyle coverage, faster community discovery, immediate meta diversity, and more players finding their main or a main character. Like, if players can't find a character that resonates with them, they churn easily from the experience. Or better yet, they just don't really gravitate to it. It's easier to gravitate to top tiers at that point because there's limited expression to what they want to do in addition to seeking the win or a good match. Whereas in the latter, you don't have your type of fun, so you go for what works because it's still helping you get the win. That's the point here, since the latter point to play what you want is now lost in translation because it never existed in the first place. You're damn near playing the company's game instead of playing your game that you bought. I went on ahead and I listed over here because there's a dude here based on the predictions of the roster here. I'm actually kind of curious on how correct it's going to be. I already commented on that a long time ago, like a couple of days ago, because I actually do want Jubilee in the game if I have to pick. Because he predicted what Wolverine, a Cyclops, maybe Magic, Jubilee, Magneto. Me personally, I'm also hoping for Eric, Venom, Mysterio, Hulk, Wasp, Deadpool, Blade, and the Maker. Pretty distinct choices. Few of them are stereotypically expectant, considering you're talking about base roster outline here. So, real quick, looking into that, I want to look into the base roster. So, like when it first came out, when Marvel Tokon first came out, I was originally looking at these six characters, and then they introduced Ghost Rider and Spider Man. Spider Man, I don't really give a fuck for. Rivals already put me off of him, and Marvel vs. Capcom also turned me off of him. I don't care for no Peter Parker. He can kind of fuck off. Ghost Rider, I definitely vibe with. Ghost Rider's a character I can see myself playing, trying to take Marvel Tokon seriously. And then we look at these characters. Captain America, cool. He looks like a nice character design, but he doesn't look like he's my cup of tea for a bulky dude that can probably get mixed with his shield depending upon how it works or however the mechanic design is for it that I remember from the beta. Then look at Storm. Her design is really pretty. It's among the most beautiful I've ever seen her design since the comic books. But For her being like a DPS, I don't know how technical she could be using the elements. So I have to wait and see how the rest of that's gonna turn in order to really like give me more to go off of to play her or not or invest in her. I would probably still lab her anyway to know the matchup, but I wouldn't know if I would lab her in order to actually play her. Star Lord is highly unappealing to me. Star Lord, this is like the least appealing design for me regarding him. Doctor Doom. Doctor Doom does stand out in the ladder here. I think he's the only bad guy on the roster. Does stand out for whatever it is that he brings. I haven't played him in the older games, but it could be an interesting design to delve into. And then Tony Stark wearing an Iron Man suit that looks rather Japanese inspired, I think is a very interesting trait about the character that is a different change of pace compared to his usual stereotypical like smooth Iron Man design. So I'm intrigued on why they went this route compared to the latter route that's usually like very movie and TV series oriented that we've always known Tony Stark to have all these years. So the fact that they went this route, that does make it interesting. His design, I don't know how bland or how white bread his design is for Marvel combat, but hey, I'll take a look and try it out. And then you got this one here. I didn't really think any much of her, or I didn't think that much of her when she first came out. Marvel, Miss Marvel, whoever this character is, with some rubber bandy looking hands. But apparently she's important enough to be a cover girl to the product. So I imagine that she has some sense of importance. But leave it down below who you think would be equally as important as a main roster person. I'm actually kind of curious. The goal for me in looking at all these designs here, the goal is not as many characters as possible. That's not the point. It's really for the clear archetype diversity. That's why so many people are just advocating for their shit to be in the game. That you see over here, like if I go to look at retweets, for instance, post activity. I go and take a look at these while I'm going down. And you basically just see post engagement based off of how this goes here and how everybody's natural reaction should be. But like I'm saying, it's for the archetype diversity. That's why so many people are just advocating for this shit to be in the game. Not because it's what they love in Marvel, but also because it's what the character could allow them to do if it's more lore accurate. Some representing an archetype not even yet found in the game. Of 8 characters, mind you. With the remaining roster, it's for the rest of the cast here to be credibly representative. Or try to be, I'm assuming. Handful of years in the back burner of fighters is in Strive's shadow. I'm assuming the characters yet to be revealed were picked wisely for this game's engine to shoot for these select playstyles you're introducing or reintroducing for these people, possibly to a Marvel fighting game. For me, the order of production attention is usually like character and archetype presentation, then mechanical balancing, then maybe the maps and cosmetics, but that's just me though. Roster size impacts competitive longevity. Good size roster within reason slows meta stagnation. It encourages lab work and dice discovery. It supports multiple tournament archetypes, and it creates content for streamers and YouTube. That way, people can do whatever the heck they want to do in the content realm. That way, it doesn't get stale doing the same shit somebody else is probably doing somewhere else in the world. The flip side to that coin is that if the roster's too small, matchups get solved quickly, spectator variety drops, and balance problems become way more visible or obvious. That can hurt retention in the first 3 to 6 months of the game's lifespan, which is the most critical window. It's also a part of why I was like grinding 2SKO's balls personally about wanting to change up the damn formula the day right after Frosty Frosting's debut, just because it felt like to the development team, the community had the game solved somewhat quickly over the course of a few months. No bullshit. Wow, what gave that away? It couldn't have been a low roster, right? and they wanted to go ahead and do that. Whether or not they actually did it or not by now, I have no idea. I personally don't care because it's just disappointing that they're overly transparent to give details like that, but not go into why that's suddenly important. Also, that may or may not be another video at some point down the line going over 2XKO. I may or may not also talk about the job layoffs. But anyway, from what I see here or read in some of these quote unquote sane posts that they have in order to kind of spot the scam a minute away, is that they have the visible tone in their tweets to the vibe of, did you cut characters to sell them later? If players feel the base design is like too thin for the game, then they resist paying for add-ons. If they feel the base is rich, then DLC feels additive instead of feeling corrective. Think about your clear archetype diversity. Think about strong IP representation. Think about enough volume to support discovery. Think about enough depth to avoid stagnation. Like a lot of that shit helps influence how the game's starting point and how future DLC all is perceived. Bitch! Alright, it's not that long after the state of play. MARVEL Tokon's official Twitter went on ahead and laid out all their cards on the table, so coming soon for Tokon is what? PlayStation and PC. They got it for August 6th, so it's gonna be August is gonna be the third quarter of this year where this game is gonna be coming out officially as a 20 playable character at launch for pending $60, $80, or $100 if you're trying to go for standard, digital, or ultimate deluxe. I went on ahead and I posted exactly how the hell I feel about this shit because I just refuse to pay more for less. It's just so horseshit. And I don't care if people agree with me or disagree with me. Like, this is my opinion about it, that I just don't like this shit. And the funny part about all this that makes it so ridiculously fucking sad is because they were quick to put this out right after the state of play finished up, but they didn't finish revealing the rest of the characters, which I'm going to assume they're going to go on ahead and just gradually have the revelations of those characters through the course of this year. It's like what's still the first quarter of this year, so give it the second quarter probably of this year, and then we'll probably start seeing the rest of them fill out and get an idea of how many more characters that are going to be ideally in the game to fill out the 20 slots. They respectfully released Magic, Wolverine, and whoever this robotic chick is here. So that's 8, 9, 10, 11. That's 11 characters right now for base roster. There's still 9 more to go. So who do you think is going to be the last 9 characters that can fill out that slot? Ideally, that has the character and it has the game's best expressive diversity in its best interest in mind. So let me think and let me know who you think could fill in these slots. I'd love to know. Rodimus out.